GTA 6 will be toned down. In this video, I'm going to explore how Rockstar will be approaching GTA 6 and why we need to look at Rockstar in 2024 differently to how we looked at them back in 2013. Thank you to Apple Crumble Enjoyer in my Discord for suggesting this video topic. So to properly give this topic justice, we need to look at both reasons why Rockstar will potentially restrain their humour in GTA 6. So firstly, let's talk about the financial and social consequences. Upon the release of GTA 4, Rockstar entered a period of unique storytelling. The stories they told were based on the technology of the time. Rockstar were able to utilise the latest version of Rage, the Rockstar Advanced Game Engine. Rockstar were able to utilise this game engine to showcase believable facial expressions to show the torment and pain of Nico Bellic, GTA 4's protagonist. This gave Rockstar a unique opportunity to tell a tale of Liberty City with dark undertones. We of course still had some of Rockstar's humour underlying the main plot of the story, but for the most part this was ultimately a quite dark and sad story. Shortly after the release of GTA 4 in April of 2008, Rockstar began development on GTA 5. At this point in time, Rockstar only employed around 1,000 people, and was for all intents and purposes a small developer. This compared to the juggernaut they are today with around 6,000 or so employees is a stark contrast. For GTA 5, Rockstar needed to reach new audiences. GTA 4 sold well at 25 million units, but this was only 4 million units more than GTA San Andreas at 21 million units. This was a problem because San Andreas had a budget of $10 million, but GTA 4 cost nearly $100 million to make, so the return on investment was nowhere near as good as it was for GTA San Andreas. With GTA 5 being a much bigger risk for Rockstar, especially with ambitions of turning back to Los Santos and the state of San Andreas, plus all the additional functionality they wanted within the game, and following the release of GTA 5, Rockstar being completely blindsided by the success of GTA Online, Rockstar knew that they needed to spend more money and of course employ more people. Now in this point of the video we need to take a step back and look at the disparity between large developers and small developers. So firstly, we'll talk about small developers. Small development companies such as Rockstar, as they were in the early 2000s, aren't as subject to groupthink as larger corporations. This is down to a multitude of reasons, but one of the reasons for that are the ramifications. There are way less social and financial ramifications for a small developer compared to a large development company, for example, like EA. But when this small developer, such as Rockstar in 2001 for example, make a game that reaches millions of people, those ramifications are amplified, and those ramifications are subject to the same consequences as game developers such as EA. People in the general media and in the general public will start to raise their eyebrows at the ramifications of this game. The size of the developer doesn't matter, and it becomes more about the reach of the product. We saw many examples of this. There's lists of people that tried to sue Rockstar Games and went after Rockstar Games for a multitude of reasons. Now, I'm an avid believer that video games don't cause violence. Violent people cause violence. But my beliefs on this topic don't change the outcome. But if we translate this to a larger corporation, for example, the corporation that Rockstar is today, they are owned by Take-Two Interactive, for example. Take-Two Interactive have shareholders, such as BlackRock, and allegedly, that's a whole video within itself. We have that social responsibility that affects more people, and not just on a social level, but a financial level. And when it comes to affecting multi-billion-dollar corporations, that's not a path that you want to go down. In essence, this puts some topics for jokes out of the equation. Rockstar know that they can't touch upon some of the same jokes and topics that they've touched upon before. The world has changed and the social landscape has changed. If there's a media outcry due to a mission or a joke that's told in GTA 6, the ramifications of that do extend way past Rockstar and Take-Two. If a theme or a topic is explored within a joke and it does cause overall offense, investors will pull out of Take-Two Interactive. An example of this is Take-Two Interactive's last earnings call. Their stock price fell by 10% in 43 minutes just because the investors weren't too sure whether they wanted to keep their money in Take-Two. And this is where a lot of people seem to have a naivety towards Take-Two Interactive and how investment works. The people that are invested into these investment firms, for the most part, don't know anything about GTA 6. They're not interested. They do not care. What they want to see is that money goes into this investment firm and more money comes out, or the value of their investment increases. That's all they care about. So people saying that, oh, people aren't going to pull out of Take-Two, private investors like me or you that want to invest money into Take-Two Interactive, we're a minority. Like, we're less than like potentially a couple of percent of Take-Two Interactive. Some of these big investment firms have up to 5%, 10%, 12% of Take-Two Interactive. They're the people that Take-Two Interactive really have to appeal to. Rockstar have to appeal to us, Take-Two Interactive have to appeal to the investors. But also, if GTA does do the sales figures that are predicted, unless you've got a couple of $1 million in Take-Two Interactive, you're not going to make massive returns. You might see the share price increase by maybe even double, potentially. But we're not talking about things like crypto that can triple overnight, for example. The stock market and shares in businesses don't always work like that, especially with us having a predicted timeline for GTA 6. The stock price of Take-Two Interactive now is on the basis that GTA 6 will be coming. We're not going to see massive fluctuations up, but we may see some massive fluctuations down if the media spin a story based on a joke that's in GTA 6. The next topic I want to explore in this video is why Rockstar don't even need edgy humour. But before we do that, I'd like to say a massive thank you to today's video sponsor, Private Internet Access. When browsing online, whether you're gaming or streaming online content, it's important to protect yourself. Watching Netflix without private internet access is like paying for a director's cut but only seeing the trailer. Private internet access helps you overcome all of these restrictions and dangers by giving you the option to change your IP address to one of their 91 countries to choose from and 50 US states, allowing you to gain access to websites and services that are only available in those particular locations. Private internet access works on Windows, Android, Mac, iOS, and many more. And you can use one private internet access subscription on as many devices as you want. And no, that's not one at a time. You can use it on an unlimited amount of devices all at the same time. So if you want to stay protected on the internet, use the link down below to save yourself 83% on private internet access. That's just $2.03 a month. And you also get 4 months completely free. So why don't Rockstar need edgy humour? Well, by Rockstar's own admission, they're looking to tone down humour around certain topics, with a statement from Dan Houser in 2018 stating, "With the world changing, it was difficult to make another GTA in the same way. It's really unclear what we would even do with GTA 6, let alone how upset people would get with whatever we did. Both intense liberal progression and intense conservatism are both very militant and very angry." Now recently I've seen a lot of people saying that Rockstar will never pull back and cave to the social pressures in the world we live in now, but that's just simply not the case. The mission with Trevor and Michael in GTA 5 was totally axed from the game, where they pretended to be a couple. This was pulled primarily for the reason that it may cause too much offense or may be classed as insensitive. There's a whole list of other missions that were pulled from the game, and they're the ones that we know about that were found in source codes or the actors who actually spoke about publicly. But imagine all the missions that we don't know about. And this is for a game that came out in 2013. The world has changed so much since then, and what was considered to be socially acceptable in 2013 is not the same as it is now. We also have reports from Jason Schreier, who's pretty much the go-to guy for inside Rockstar information. Jason Schreier of Bloomberg spoke to a number of Rockstar Games employees who wish to remain anonymous about the changes to the company's tone and culture and how that's likely to affect the development of GTA 6. Schreier notes that Rockstar began to assess its internal culture back in 2018, after employees stood up against crunch and mistreatment. Schreier notes that GTA Online's cancelled Cops and Crooks update was a major turning point. The mode would have split players into two respective teams, but given that several high-profile cases of police brutality were dominating the news and headlines at the time, Rockstar developers were forced to stand up and say, "This isn't right." This was followed by another report where supposedly Rockstar had cleaned up its frat boy humour and GTA itself. But this is the bit of the video where I'm going to surprise even myself. Red Dead Redemption 2 wasn't a game that was really edgy. It didn't have the forms of twisted humour and topics that were usually covered by Rockstar games, and they didn't delve into any of the risky touch points that are associated with edgy humour. But it's still one of the best video game stories that have ever been told. Not just for a game, but that's going against movies, TV shows, or any form of media entertainment product. Red Dead Redemption 2's story was incredibly well done. Rockstar isn't defined by their humour. They're defined by their ability to tell compelling stories within the video game world. And that's not an area where I feel like they're going to let us down. It's not an area where I feel like they've let us down to date. From what we understand, GTA 6 will be based on a Bonnie and Clyde story. By nature, this theme is dark, but romantic. And this is not something that Rockstar have done with the GTA game today. They haven't combined this sort of love story with the dark sense of impending doom at the end. If you know anything about Bonnie and Clyde, that explains itself. How Rockstar explore these topics are going to be a defining factor of how good GTA 6 will be. The success of the game isn't going to be defined on what jokes they tell or what jokes they don't tell. In my opinion, in games like Vice City and San Andreas, the edgy humour was something to fall back on. They were the icing on the cake for some of the scenes where comic relief was needed, where the graphical ability of the game couldn't tell us what the character was feeling, or there was an awkward silence in gameplay. That comic relief was required to tell us the emotions of the character and where they were at that time. I mean, you couldn't even tell if a character was smiling or crying in GTA Vice City. In GTA 4, Rockstar were able to find humour in the darkness of Liberty City. In GTA 5, the whole game itself was a joke on modern American culture at that time period. It was a twisted tale how three characters that would have never otherwise crossed paths ended up working together and being affiliated affiliated with each other. And GTA 6 will be a story that pushes the boundary of filmmaking in games. I don't feel like Rockstar will go out of their way to avoid telling certain sorts of jokes, but I also feel like they won't touch upon certain jokes or topics if it doesn't add any value to the story. Essentially, if it complements the game, it's done tastefully, and it's in the right context, it will be in there. Thank you to Private Internet Access for sponsoring today's video. Their links are all down below, and a massive thank you to my channel members up in the top right hand side of the screen for supporting the channel. Thank you for watching. I'll see you all in the next one.